What is the attitude in Mexico, especially amongst people who are studying the narco wars, with all this build that wall stuff, all this what's going on in America? There's this is very strange right versus left polarization over here about whether or not there should be a wall between the United States and Mexico.
Sure. The thing, Mexicans are obviously very anti-Trump. In Mexico, is Trump is very unpopular from the very beginning. When he said, they are rapists
and murderers. Yeah, someone's doing the raping. Yeah.
He's kind of, if you look at surveys, the level's very low.
Does anybody like Trump in Mexico? Is there there's always contrarians somewhere.
I've seen numbers like, people say 80% or something think he's terrible. So it means there must be a 20% somewhere who don't. I haven't met a Mexican who's been pro-Trump. I never have. I met a Salvadoran who was pro-Trump one time. He had a guy who'd been deported, and he was like, I know this guy Trump's going to turn out to be a great president. So I see that, but Mexico is very, very anti-Trump. In terms of the wall, there's in terms of what, in terms of the smugglers. I was talking to a smuggler in Nogales about this, and he was describing he was from Nogales, from a neighborhood called Buenos Aires, which is right on the border with the United States. It's Nogales, Sonora, Nogales, Arizona. Sorry, Nogales, Sonora, Nogales, Arizona. And he was from the neighborhood right on the border there. And he described that he first took people over the border with the United States back in the 1980s when he was at school. He was at high school. And the reason was that at that time it was just an old fence. And there was a hole in the fence. They used to go through into the United States and go back into Mexico, just an old wire fence. And the first time he took people through, people would arrive from southern Mexico and say, how do we get into the US? And he'd say, this way. And they give him a tip. He said the first time he got the equivalent of about 50 cents was what he made to take people to the United States, 50 cents. Nowadays, the cost of going into the US is $5,000. That's what you paid to go illegally into the United States, $5,000. So he's saying, wow, look at that increase. Every time that the US puts more security, it means it's more expensive. When it's more expensive, that means more money going to criminals, which means there's now an industry doing it. So now the cartels make a big percentage of that money of human smuggling into the US. But in terms of the wall, when Trump first came in, he had the line that Mexico's going to pay for it. Yeah. And then there was this kind of line, right at the beginning, he threatened Mexican president saying, if you don't agree to pay for the wall, then why are you going to come and meet me? And then it was like, wow, he's really going to try and shake down Mexico for billions of dollars. He's really going to try and do that. And that was kind of scary moment then, I think, from the point of view of Mexico. When he first got to power, it was like he's going to do that, and then he's going to deport 3 million, and he's going to kill NAFTA. Actually, those things haven't really come to pass. Actually, if you look over the last couple of years of Trump, it hasn't really hit Mexico very hard.
So the concern was that he was going to take money that should be allocated to other ways that's going to help Mexico, and he was going to try to take that and use it to build the wall?
No one really knew. When he first came in, he's like, Mexico's going to pay for this wall.
Right, the wall just got 10 foot higher. Remember that?
Yeah. And it was like, how are you going to do that? You're going to start threatening Mexico militarily and say, give us money? It was kind of is it a shakedown? You're going to do a shakedown? It was kind of a crazy diplomatic thing when he first got in. So that was kind of scary for a moment from the point of view of Mexico. But I think after you look at the last couple of years, he hasn't really hit Mexico with that. Now, if he wants to build the wall, now obviously there's the big fuss in terms of the spending here. But if he wants to build it or extend it, because there is wall in sections of the border already. If he wants to extend it, it won't stop a lot of the hard drugs. If you look at heroin,